some trip. And then in the morning, I'll go to bed. Right? So I end up popping 2 tabs. Oh, pretty late at night, around like maybe I want to say like 2 in the morning or so, because like I said, like I had no plans to do anything. Like I didn't realize I had a job interview the next day. I didn't realize I had anything big coming up. I thought I was just gonna be staying up till like, you know, noon, playing games, tripping balls, and then I'd eventually lay down and fall asleep like the next night or something. So I'm chilling. The trip is going. Like, the trip itself, I'm not going to talk about much because there's nothing special about this. Those guys who have watched a lot of my past acid videos, you guys know that I was someone who actually really enjoyed, like, not doing shit on trips. A lot of people try to, orchestrate these big plans and plan out their acid trips and be like, oh, let's go walk through the woods and let's watch this movie and, like, here's this playlist I made. For me, I always would just wing it. Like, if I was sitting at my computer in the middle of a game of Counter-Strike and I got a couple good kills, I would celebrate by just slamming a couple tabs on my phone and letting it happen. Like, that was how I operated, with psychedelics especially. And that's kind of how I go through life, honestly. I don't really plan anything. I didn't do shit. But either way, so I drop these tabs. I go through the night playing. It's all fine and dandy. I go through the night gaming. It's fine. It's whatever. We're playing some games, me and my buddies. I'm watching some Netflix. It's literally my textbook trip from like all my other videos.
My name's John McCarthy,
I did the same general thing on most of my trips when I was
PGA
at
Tour
home, right?
2K25. Looking forward to see what goes down out there today. We are here to have a bit of quick fun with just 3 holes in this contest. Stroke play are the rules. Have a good round.
When I was stripping.
Swing didn't feel as clean as I know you can hit it.
Was entertaining
Don't worry about it.
Tripping balls.
On the green
So the sun
and
came
he's
up,
ready to
and
go.
I got a
Let's see
text.
how this hole goes for
and
him.
I remember, I never really checked my phone very often, so I checked this text maybe like 30 minutes to an hour after I got it, and it was from the manager chick at this place. I'll explain what kind of job this was in just a minute once I get to that part. But it was from the manager that was going to be interviewing me. She's like, hey, just confirming, are we still good for today?
All right, let's see
I'm
how
like,
he does.
oh, fuck. And I'm the kind of person where, like, I don't know, once I plan things, I'm very bad. Like, I'll never say no once I make a plan. Like, if things change, I will do my best to not alter that plan at someone else's expense, So, like, even with job interviews, things as small as that, I will crash my car before I say no to that job interview. So, I didn't end up driving. I didn't crash my fucking car. But nevertheless, I replied to a text. I'm like, oh, yeah, we're good. And then I realized, like, it kind of hit me. I'm like, wait, what have I just agreed to? Like, what did I just get myself into? Because, listen, okay? This was a job where it wasn't like a grocery store. It wasn't like a McDonald's, right? Like, being there got me the job.
Come on now.
Right? Like, this was an interview where I had to put, like,
and this was going pretty hard, right to left.
Evident because I didn't get a call back. But essentially what this company was, there was actually 2 of these companies that I applied for, and both of these different interviews I showed up fucked up. I think I made a video about the other one too. I'm not sure, but this was a company, it was like a call center kind of job that I was applying for.
And not a bad effort from where you were.
There was another company.
And this is his attempt at birdie.
Bundle, like a kind of like a loot box, but like for your dog. It was like one of those companies that I interviewed at, and then this is like tech insurance. So similar industry, right? Like both the tech market. I don't know why. When I don't want to do both of them, I just really plan
okay, here we go for the
sales
bogey.
jobs read my lines, dude. They like my credentials. So either way, I'm like, oh yeah, for sure, I'm good for this interview, right?
And you're 1 over
and
par
interview was
currently.
scheduled for 9:30, right? And it was like 7:30. I'm kind of panicking. I'm tripping balls. Like, I'm still tripping just fine, dude. I'm not coming down. I'm like, I wouldn't say at my peak, but I just passed my peak, right? Like, I'd been done with my peak by like 2 hours, but I easily had another like 3 to 4 hours left before I even began truly sobering up and coming down, right? So I'm like, oh shit. I'm trying to figure out what to do. And I remember, even though I had like an hour and a half, 2 hours to get ready, I was so overwhelmed, like panicking, that it shut my whole trip down. It killed my whole trip. It went from just a really chill, normal, fun trip to all of a sudden, I'm freaking the fuck out while I'm tripping balls. So I pop out of my room, I fly into my bathroom, get my shower going and stuff. And luckily, I wasn't like the visuals weren't too intense for me to function. Like I've gone to school tripping long before I did this. I've done plenty of things in public tripping, so this was not a big deal. I was not scared of like being in public tripping. I was scared of not getting a job because at this point I was fucking broke and I really needed a job, like really fucking bad. So I was like, fuck, dude. I gotta figure something out.
Nicely done.
And also, at this point, I want to also point out that this was a bit weaker.
The shot's just about 95 yards to the pin.
This was not from Aspen. This was not my standard stuff. This is still good at Aspen, but it was not from my standard Aspen plus. So these two taps did not hit me as hard as my typical two taps. This was like a walk in the park kind of trick for me, right? But still, I'm tweaking out hard enough, but there's no way this jobbing with me is going to go well. So I hop in the shop. I get ready. I remember I had to put on simple clothes because I remember opening my closet and instead of like grabbing on the button downs, like after I got ready, instead of grabbing, I have a bunch of like nice like Ralph Lauren button down shirts that you tuck in with a belt, for job interviews and like if I ever went to church or anything, those kind of shirts. I was looking at those, the patterns were scaring me. I couldn't fucking do it. I couldn't do it. So I had this little section in the closet where I had a couple like plain,
let's see what happens. This is his second.
That my mom got me for like a funeral a couple of years ago. And I was like, fuck it, dude. I'm throwing them on. So I threw on one of those like little sweaters. I threw on some khakis. And I remember I didn't think ahead. And I just threw on some like really standard shoes. Like my interview outfit was awesome.
And you've got this to take your score down to even par.
I wore a Gucci belt. I wore a fucking Gucci belt. I forgot that part. That is why I remember there was like some reason why I was going into the outfit part something like that. And like as I was talking to him about it, and I just remembered the fucking Gucci belt. Picture me, alright? You guys know what it looks like. Tommy Hilfiger plain sweater.
Oh man.
A Gucci belt. A Gucci.
And he's got a 12-foot putt in front of him here.
Like, it was not like a boring colored one either. It was like pink, dude. Like listen, I was wearing a strange little belt, okay? And then my Jordans, right? I tried to slip on like a nicer pair of Jordans, like not like basketball league.
All right, he's got this for birdie. Let's see what happens.
There's no getting around that. Anybody looking at them could tell me I should not have worn these. So I feel this ridiculous.
He's got about a 3-footer here.
Yeah, by this point I've been running around my house and I'm balls.
Okay, you've got this one for par.
I know my fans stand in front of it to like stop me from sweating because I have long hair, and naturally I
head to the next.
Bit, right? I get sweaty more easily than most people, right?
Moment.
So I'm sitting there, and I got the fan blasting in my face because for some reason I'm just sweating balls, and nothing I'm doing is stopping it. And I hop on Uber, and I get an Uber, and luckily this place is maybe like a 6-minute ride down the street. But like I could not ask my mom for a ride. She would have known I was tweaking out. I could have told her, oh, I'm nervous, but she would have known. So I call an Uber. This Uber pulls up. Luckily, back in high school, I used to always do this thing where I would make a new account. Uber used to offer this thing where you could get like a $20 discount for your first ride with like no minimum purchase. Like if your ride was $19, you got it free on a new account. But the thing is, the only requisites for a new account was a new email, right? And I don't even think it was a phone number back then. I think it was still email, if I remember correctly. So I just keep cranking out new emails and making new Uber accounts, right? And just getting free rides. So I remember I had one of these accounts ready to rumble, but I was kind of broke back then. I wasn't paying for Ubers. Come the fuck on. I had a Gucci belt, but I wasn't paying for Ubers.
Dunked.
Pretty sure I used like half my mom's Christmas money for that. But either way, nevertheless,
the ball's going to tend to go right in this setup. It's sitting below your feet. Might want to aim a little to the left.
We're out of there. We're out the jam. And this was back when Uber was in its like infancy. Like Lyft had just become a thing. Uber was like just now a popular thing, you know. So I happened with Uber.
Have that.
And the guy's kind of making small talk with me. And luckily, was just kind of a younger guy because when Uber first started, right, Uber drivers were all like really young, like people, kind of like myself, right? It was all just like very young, tech savvy people because old people didn't know what the fuck Uber was, right? Like they had no idea. They were still calling cab, right? So back then, almost all the Uber drivers.
And we found
right?
ourselves
Like,
in
they
the
were
second
people
cut
like
here.
me back then, right? But nowadays it's very different. Nowadays Ubers are just cab drivers, literally. You know, it's just an open-ended cab job. But either way, so I hop in this Uber. We're chatting a little bit. I don't tell this guy that I'm tripping, and you know I was good enough at the conversation where I was kind of gauging that conversation to tell myself whether or not I was ready for this interview. And he didn't ask me if I was intoxicated. So I figured that was a good sign. But I was sweating balls the whole time. So finally, he drops me off. And I don't know what I'd envisioned, but I envisioned this place to
He's
be
got around
some
250
grand,
yards to the pin from here.
beautiful, multi-story office building making big pet money. And it was. When I looked them up on Google Maps the day before, it was this big office building. What I didn't take into account was the fact that they just rented out like the smallest little storage closet office space in the area and called that their office, right? Like from the outside, I thought the whole building was them, and I was like, oh, this looks legit. Stupid me should have known better. Of course, it's like some little back closet on the fucking first floor, right? So, of course, I go back there.
And this is a long distance putt.
All call centers
Let's see what he does.
But this one was particularly bleak. The walls were gray. The cubicles were a different shade of gray. The chairs were black. The desks were, once again, a different shade of gray. There was only one thing giving color to this office, and it was an inflatable palm tree that was in the back corner and then in the corner of, like, every, like,
Looks
manager's office. They had all the cubicles, and there was, like, two managers' offices, right? So I go, I check in, and at this point, it's like the panic is really starting to hit me because, listen, I never stopped tweaking out from this trip, right? Like, I never got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm calm and ready for this interview. Because I was tripping. When you're tripping, your emotions control your entire trip. So I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at, I didn't really have time or give myself time to, like, feel the acid. I didn't give myself time during this whole process of getting ready for the job interview to feel how it was affecting my trip. Until I sit down and wait for my interview.
He's got 3 feet to go.
And I finally get to catch up breath and sit down and be like, oh, I made it. I'm here.
And after that, he's all
and
done.
then the trip begins.
And it'll be
like,
a +2
begins.
for you at
I
the end
look
of this
over
one.
at this other girl who's sitting there waiting
I'll see you back here real
and
soon.
I must have looked like the craziest man on earth because her pupils kept getting bigger and bigger, and like it was the strangest thing, right? Like I looked at this girl, right? She like looks back at me and I like looks away, but I just keep staring at her. I remember this vividly, and her pupils just kept getting bigger, right? Until like her whole eye was like covered in like just her pupil, and it was the craziest thing ever. And I remember just sitting there like infatuated with this, just staring at this girl like, what the fuck, dude? And I don't know if she ever stared back at me. I don't know. I didn't process that part, but I remember at least for probably 10 of the 20 minutes that I sat waiting for my interview was spent staring at this chick. So obviously, I think before I even went in the interview room, I already didn't have the job because I was creeping people out, and I'm dripping sweat too. Like I kid you not, there may have very well been like a sweat stain on my chair. Like I was sweating balls. So finally, they come out and they call me in before this girl who's waiting. They're like, I was like the first one they called in. I figured they just wanted to get my dumb ass out of there. They're probably like, dude, this guy's tweaking out. Call him in. So they call me in for the interview, and I sit across from this woman who is a little overdressed for what this is. It's this woman who, she's in like one of those like women's like suit jackets with like the skirt, you know? And they wear like the heels, and like she looked like she was going to work for the State Department. And I'm like, listen, we're selling pet insurance. Like, you are really overdressed. Like, the cost of this chick's outfit probably was more than all the sales this building did today. Like, that, like, come on, bro. Chill. So either way, she gives me this interview. And especially with work in sales, all these like entry-level sales jobs are always the same. They ask you like scenario questions that are very easy to answer. Like, if a customer is comes back and unhappy and wants a refund, what do you do? And then how do you make that customer happier? Like, what are your three main goals when serving the customer? Like, just a bunch of bullshit questions like that. And I remember one of the questions, I literally didn't have an answer. I've never done this in interview before, right? I'm very good at like bullshitting interviews. I never prepare. I just go in and talk, right? Because I'm good at talking. I've sat here talking to you motherfuckers for over 17 minutes now. So clearly I'm competent enough at speaking. But nevertheless, when I'm doing this interview, there was one question that I just could not wrap my head around. She was asking me this like really specific scenario question about like a customer calls in and they had insurance on their pet and their pet passed away. And like it was like a huge scenario. All I could think about was like the pet dying. All I could think about was their dog died. Like I completely lost the fact that this was an interview, and I got so lost in thought of like, oh my god, their dog died. That when she asked me this question, I remember my first answer initially. She thought I misheard her. My first answer initially was, well, I tell them I'm very sorry for their loss. And I remember
Hello there. My name is John
like,
McCarthy.
well,
Welcoming
that's a
you
good
to
start.
PGA Tour
It was literally, it was like she was
2K25.
guiding like a
I
special
think
needs kid
things
through
are going to
like
go
a
our way today.
calculus course
We are getting
with
ready
this
to have a
interview.
bit of
Like,
fun
it was
here.
just
3 holes
the
matchmaking
worst
challenge.
nightmare of a
Let's
job
get it going.
ever. So finally, I remember the question just got skipped. She tried to like prompt me again, and I just wasn't having it. And my trip seemed to get more like intense throughout the interview. Like, I don't want to say intense, but like I seemed to get more really out of it. Like, I don't know what it was, but my headspace was just gone during this. Like, leading up to the interview, no problem, dude. I got ready just fine. I was gaming. But as soon as this happened, it completely sent my trip into a spiral to hell, dude. It was fucked up. So after that question, I remember the interview getting wrapped up pretty quickly. And I go ahead and leave. And I remember standing in the lobby and calling this Uber. And I get another Uber back home. You know, different driver, of course, and I Uber back home. And after I got back home, I remember the first thing I did was I literally stripped all my clothes off. And I went and stood in the shower for like an hour and a half because I was sweating balls. I was so uncomfortable. I took a freezing cold shower and just stood there. And I remember it really helped me calm down because even on the ride home, I was still like not feeling the best. And I was feeling very like tweaked out. I remember I was like hanging my head out the fucking Uber's back window like a dog, dude. And you know, once I got home and hopped in the shower, I felt a lot better. But I never got a call back, and I don't think I'm very surprised or ever was very surprised about that part. I never expected one, but hey, at least I went for it. I do give myself some commendment for showing up to that because my God, that they probably still talk about me. But nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely on the longer side. Drop a like if you did. Be sure to tune in to stream tonight. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
That's too bad. And he's ready to let her rip. Let's see how this hole goes. Ooh, look at this, catching the downslope. This could run out. Ooh, catching the downslope. This one's going to run out. Okay, as we set this up, it's not a great scene. It's very, very deep into this rough. Okay, this one's about 135 yards out.
I literally saw that last night when I was sending you the exact coordinates.
Have you ever gone to see if people are like smoking there?
I've never gone to see if people are smoking there.
Is that your turn? You fuck it. You go.
Honestly, I think I'm gonna need to. But I smoke like either on this porch or like around here. Like I don't want to say a lot. I don't want to dox myself. I don't want to say I record very much.
Of course.
Maybe I do.
Yep. It's a nice park. It's like a lot of people come here. So
this I gotta admit is my favorite park in the local area.
Yeah.
In the city. Great thing is, unlike LA, we ain't got people shooting at me.
Dude, I think you would genuinely.
He's getting his concentration going here for this long putt. Let's see how he deals with it.
Bro, listen.
And I think this one's breaking to the left.
I think LA is the one place where whatever you hear on the news, they're understated.
I believe.
Like they're legit understated. I feel like
Skid Row is holy shit.
Yeah.
I think he's put it on a good
about,
line.
For example, Chicago.
Oh, and he gets it to drop.
I'm from there.
This one's 20 feet out. This one's going left to right. Pretty hard, too.
It's amusing because, the gun laws in Chicago are crazy hard.
All right, got most of the way there.
Oh, do I still have it? I think I still have my firearm owners.
All right, this is his 10th at Eagle. And this one looks like it's kind of moving from the left to the right. And he gets that one to go in there. 3 feet left.
I'm not willing to show mine.
And you're under par already here today. Let's keep it there, and let's see if we can get a few more birdies on the scorecard before the end of things here today.
Block 27, which is my main primary thing. My favorite pistol I've ever owned was a Smith & Wesson M&P Compact.
I've heard good things. One of I took firearms class, and one of the instructors had one of those. And
this one looks pretty good. Should be in the fairway.
And he was like, "Get whatever feels most comfortable for you." But I really.
And he's ready to tee off here. Let's see how this goes.
It's so dead. Yeah, literally. I don't have to try. You just reminded me, actually. You recently got accused of that.
This one's got to chase out a bit, I think. Caught the downslope.
Very viral clip recently, which
okay, here we go. Let's launch this one out there. Fairway has a downslope in the landing area. Let's keep that in mind.
Great tasting Vibations Cannabis and Electrolyte drink mix gives you advanced hydration, fast acting, made with full spectrum cannabis oil and electrolytes. You get the energy and focus vibe you're looking for.
Okay, we are in the deep stuff currently.
Really nice kill on Mirage with a revolver. Yeah, and it went super viral. I mean, I think Onipixel, who's the biggest.
I think this one's coming up short from the rough.
Yeah.
All right, back in the fairway. Now let's go for the green.
I posted it because I was like, "Oh, this is a good flip," and then people are like, I was like, I don't know, I was just happy about the good flip.
How did it feel having the whole community coming at you like that?
Good. Really? It felt good because I was like, this is insanely good promotion for the Twitch and for the YouTube for the next 2 Counter-Strike streams after that, because to capitalize on it, I then streamed Counter-Strike.
And here we go. This is his second shot.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a hoot and a holler, a true classic, if you will. Today we're coming in with a video talking about the time that I went to a party with my good friend Ashton, and the cops showed up. It got kind of ugly. We didn't really know anyone at this party, but he sold a lot of drugs. We were really intoxicated. It was a fun time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you do. And also, I hope you guys are enjoying the more consistent uploads. I really appreciate all the new subscribers. For the past 3 to 4 days, we've actually gotten over 250 new subscribers a day. So, to everyone new who's tuning in, thank you all so much for subscribing. Hope you guys enjoy the content. Be sure to turn notifications on to tune into my live streams too. Let's dive into it, baby. So listen, this happened a long fucking time ago. I'm really stoned right now. So I'm gonna be bad with dates. I
Oh,
think
man, that
how
almost
accurate I
went.
am with dates in all my videos really depends on how intoxicated I am at the time of recording. And I'm really high. So I don't really like month-wise couldn't tell you, dude. But I know that I was 17 years old, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm gonna say this had to be around like this was like
And if he
maybe
sinks
April,
this, it'll be for birdie.
May-ish
This one looks like it has a bit of a
what year was
break
that?
to the
2017,
right.
2016. Wow, that's a long time ago, dude. Holy fuck, 2016. Pardon me. Holy fuck. So
Looks
about
like he's
April
put
of
it on a good
2016, this
line.
took place.
Still
And
going.
me and my good friend Ashton,
Oh
for those of you
my,
guys who
and he
aren't familiar with
makes
him, most
it.
of you guys, the vast majority
And
are.
22
A
feet
little
out for
brief
him.
summary. He was a good friend
And
of
this
mine who
one's,
sold a
I
lot
think,
of
going
drugs.
left to
One of
right.
my closest friends. And unfortunately, he passed away a while ago. But this is one of my favorite stories about him, right? So, basically, we were hanging out one night. I used to go and pick him up because I had a car and he didn't. He didn't even have a license, right? And I used to always go pick him up
Oh
and
my
help him like
goodness.
drive around and sell drugs, right? And I hit
And
him
this
up.
will save your
It's a pretty
par.
summer evening. I'm like, hey, dude,
This one
what are you trying to
starts
do?
off
You got
straight
plans
enough
tonight?
and then
Let's
heads
get
to the
fucked
right,
up.
I think.
Not expecting anything. He's like, yeah, dude,
This putt's
for
tracking.
sure, come pick me up.
Now that one could
I
have
got
used a
parties
bit
to go
more
to.
pace.
And whenever Ashton said that he had a party, it didn't like we weren't going
Let's see
to
what he does
party.
here.
We
This
were going
for
so
the
he could
bogey.
sell drugs, and I would get fucked up and lit
And
for
now
free
this
at a
from
party
4
all
feet.
night. Like if we had to like pay admission,
All right,
like
here
he
we
would
go. Keep
cover
it tapping.
mine, or
We'll
like
head on to the
he would
next.
just get me fucked up on drugs all night. It was great. In exchange for taking him there and kind of like helping him set the scene, just helping him out and having his back, because a party's going in as a lone drug dealer
Little tap
to a
in
party
for us
where you
here.
don't know
Not bad.
anybody. That
And
can be
after that one,
scary.
he'll
You
go
can get
up
into a
to even
bad
par.
scenario very quickly in that environment, right? All it takes is to bump into the wrong group of guys who are just fucked up enough, and then that gets ugly. But if you got a homie, you're chilling. But either way, so I go pick him up. I whip my ass on over there. And Ashton had a bunch of drugs, right? He comes and hops in my car, and he's got Zans on him. He's got ketamine. He's got the goodies. And he hops in my car, and he's like, dude, I just got drug tested today. Because he was on probation, right? So one day a month, literally, I kid you not, one day a month. He got drug tested monthly. It wasn't on the, like,
All right,
weekly
let's let
random
her
phone
fly.
call
Let's
kind
go.
of thing. He got a set scheduled drug test. So he was able to smoke one day a month. That was all he would allow himself to do. So on this particular day, he hops in my car and he's like, dude, I can smoke. Like, I was like, holy shit. Because these days were special.
All right, time to get out
This
of the
guy
bunker.
loved
Let's do this.
smoking. I always had weed. And I felt bad because, like, he couldn't tap my blunts. Like, he just had to sit there and watch me hit the blunt while we were, like,
All
chilling
right,
together.
back in the
all
fairway.
time.
I'm
It
liking
sucked,
that.
right? So the one day
And
a
we're
month was
about
special. And the
130
fact that we
yards
were
to the
going to a
pin from
party
here.
made it even
Hitting
better.
into this green with a bit of
So,
a down slope,
I asked him
and
right off
don't
the
want
bat,
this
I'm
one
like,
to get
when
away
is
from
this
you.
party? Where is it? Who's going? Like, what's going on?
It didn't feel as clean
And
as I know
he
you
has
can hit it.
basically no information.
That's
All he
okay.
has
No
is
worries.
like an
We'll be on the
address
green
and a
soon
general
enough.
idea of what time
He's
to get
in the
there.
deep stuff here. He's
like,
buried in there. Let's see how
yeah,
he
dude,
does.
we should probably just go when the sun goes down. And I was like, I was like, is that like what time? And he was like, I mean, I don't know. That's probably when party started. And I was like, oh, so you really don't know anything besides the fact that there's allegedly a party happening. He was like, yeah, pretty much. Apparently, one of his customers told him about this party, and it was like from kids that like went to like some neighboring school. But like when we got there, I didn't recognize a single face, and he didn't seem to either. But it was pretty fun. So nevertheless, we're kind of like, all right, well, let's just hang out for a little bit, and then we'll go to this party. We'll go to wherever this address is and see what's going on, right? So we're hanging out, cruising around town, and we're smoking some blunts, and it's
pretty
great, dude.
good with
we
the
would
chipper
smoke
there.
all night. One day he was able to smoke, and then he would just not smoke the entire rest of the night.
Okay,
He
18
couldn't
feet
just
to the
have
cup.
one blunt and be done. Like,
This one's
sure,
going to
his
the
tolerance
left.
was always low. Like, he'd always get so fucking fried, but he could handle his shit. So he would smoke a fuckload. So like even though he'd smoke once a month, holy shit, this guy would get
All right, let's
ripped
see if
out
he
of
can
his
do
mind.
this.
Like,
He needs it to
this guy
save par.
could drive on like
Yes,
every
he's
other
going a
drug.
bit
I
to the
don't want to
right.
say could, but like I'd seen him do it, and in all honesty, he wasn't crashing or anything,
All right,
right?
here's the tap.
But when he smoked as much as he did with me on those like
And at the
one
end of the day,
day,
you've
like
wound
that
up at
one
2
day out of
over
the month,
par.
holy shit.
All right,
We
thank you
got
so much for
high
the round.
because
That was
I
great to
smoked
spend a
more
little
than
time
normal.
outdoors with you.
And he
hope
would
we'll see you
keep
soon.
up. So we would just be fucked up. We would be stoned out of our minds. That classic kind of high school. We're cruising around stoned. We're high as fuck. We hit McDonald's, grab some food. We're just kind of chilling. We're just kind of trying to blow time, but we're both really stoned. We've just been rolling once all night, riding around smoking, doing some serves here and there. No notable serves, nothing like Crackhead Joe, just dropping off some other kids we went to school with and stuff. And finally, he's like, oh, we should probably ask about this party. So he hits up his guy, and he's like, hey, when's this party going on? He's like, oh, whenever, dude. He's like, oh, I guess it's going on now. Let's go. So we didn't really know, like, what kind of party this is going to be. We didn't know if there was going to be a shitload of people. We didn't know if there was going to be, like, 10 people. We didn't know, because the term party is always broad when you don't know anyone who's going. Because typically it's a good sign if you're just like a complete stranger and you have no idea whose crib it is and you're going, because that's typically a sign of a big party. But that's not always the case. I mean, sometimes you can show up and it'll still be just some shit bucket party. But we pulled up. Ashton had the ketamine. Ashton had Zans. We have weed. We were big chilling. I even stocked up on some weed. He wasn't like, he didn't sell a ton of weed. Like, he would sell weed on occasion, but he never like stocked up on it. So he was always like, dude, it's so hard to just have it and not smoke it. So he would never really sell it. But I brought a good amount. So I even sold a little bit of weed this night. So we pull up to where this address is. When I tell you, this was one of the like biggest parties I've ever been to by far. This was crazy. It was one of those houses where it wasn't a big house. It was just one of those houses with a giant fucking backyard. Like one of those really suburban houses with a huge ass yard with like a little fire pit. Like, there wasn't a bonfire going, but like they obviously would do that at this house. But like there's people pouring out of the back of the house. It's like motherfuckers are deep, dude. It's crazy. So we pull up and we're high as fuck. And we have all these drugs on us. And we're trying to figure out, like, should we leave some in the car? No, probably not. And then we also figure we should probably park a little far away. And that's important. I'll get to why later. But we decided we should probably park around the block. I mean, there was no parking very close to the house. But even then, I didn't want to park, like, I didn't want to look like I was part of a group of cars, right? So we went parked around the corner and just hiked it for, like, a block to get to this house, right? And there's people, like, sitting on the porch and shit, dude. There's, like, obviously, like, I don't know if you call them security, but, like, the bouncer kids at the door collecting the money. And, of course, there's a fee for us to come in. They're like, you guys got a bottle? We're like, no. And we didn't want to, like, show what we had, right? We didn't want to go, like, oh, we just have a fuckload of drugs and skills. We were just like, oh, no, we didn't bring a bottle. And they're like, all right, that's $5 for each of you. So Ashton just hands the guy a 10. I'm like, good luck, my guy. Because listen, I probably didn't have a 5. All I had was my weed and Ashton's scale, and I was trying to make some money. I probably didn't even have $5 at the time, honestly. I was a broke young man back then. We were hustling for every penny to pay for the weed back then, because I spent all my money on weed. But either way, so we went into this party, right? And it's just shoulder to shoulder right off the bat. It's crazy. And it's one of those things where, like, in the kitchen, like, it's one of those houses where you walk in and you can see both levels, if that makes sense. Like, the entry is on the middle, and then you look up and you see this, like, upper half of the house, and then you see the basement, too. If you guys know what style of house I'm talking about, I feel like this is such an easy to picture, like, American suburban house for all of you, like, I don't know, Midwesterners out there, you know? You guys probably some of you guys might even live in this house that I'm describing. I don't know. I picture this so vividly right now. Like, this is, like, such a stereotypical house. But either way, so we walk in and there's just people everywhere, even on the stairs, just everywhere. People got cups, some people got bottles, some people got cans. It's like, pardon me, everybody is just holding drinks and shoulder to shoulder in this bitch. It is murky, it is moist in this party. So we're kind of lurking around. We're trying to figure out what's going on. And whenever Ashton and I would go to these parties together, he would always go to sell drugs, like I said. But the funniest thing about it was the way he did it. And this is what we did for the most of the night, right? We would go around together and just kind of like merge our way through like the crowd if it was one of these big parties, and just like force ourselves into a group, or just like kind of like pick up on a conversation and join it, right? And then he'd always be like, oh, like, you guys want some Coke or something? Like, almost like offering them. Or like, he'd be like, oh, you guys want some K? Or like, want to do some K? And like, if they didn't say hell yeah, I would be like, oh yeah, for sure, you know? Like, and if they said yeah, I'd kind of go along with it. We had a little sales pitch, okay? We were some crappy little fuckers. So, or like with weed even, I do it with blunts. Like on this occasion, I did it with a blunt with this one group of people. But we would go around from group to group, and with the first group, it was this group of dudes. The most stereotypical suburban group of dudes ever. And they're like, oh yeah, dude, we're down. So we go find this little like empty counter space on the kitchen counter. And Ashton busts out a scale and a little bit of cake. And he puts it on his debit card, just passes the card to me. And I do some, and then he does some. And we're getting lit at this point. We just now did some K for the first time the whole night, which was surprising. Ashton usually, whenever he had it on him, he was always doing it in front of me, around me. But in this particular night, this was the first time I saw him do it, dude. It was it was almost like scary, dude. I was like, is this a new man? I think it was the weed, honestly. Like, he only did it because we were in the party scenario. It was really crazy. But either way, we bumped this shit. And he's got the scale out. And then he looks over to these kids. And he goes, so how much did you guys want? And it's so, like, I remember the first time he did that with me. It was like, it was hilarious. It was like a scene out of a movie. The first time we did this to someone, he was like, dude, just go with it. Like, just watch this. Just go with it. I do this all the time. And he does this at this party to these complete strangers. Like, so fun. He didn't even know these kids' names. But just the way he set it up was so smart. Like, they look at it, they see how good it is, they watch us do it, get lit, and then he's like, how much you want? You know, it was just perfect. One of the kids ended up buying a decent little bit. I think he ended up buying, like, bumps for all his friends. Ashton charged, like, $5 a bump. And parties are that perfect kind of scenario where you can do these little bumps and charge $5, 10 a line, all this crazy shit, and make racks. So we would just be going to these parties, going to different groups of people and doing things, or we just charge for bumps. We wouldn't, you know, like, we'd have a scale out, but he wouldn't scale bumps, you know? Like, it was more so like, if they wanted, like, half a gram or something, then, all right, let's go in the bathroom or something and scale out some shit. So we do this to a couple groups, right? And we're just kind of going through the group, and it's going well. We're doing it with, you know, Zans. Zans are something where we can't just be like, hey, you want to go pop a Zan? We have to do it with, like, hay or, like, weed. Like, you want to come hit this blunt or some shit like that. Or, like, at one point, we were even just walking around with a blunt. People would, like, be like, yo, can we tap that? We'd just be like, yeah, you need some shit? Like, we just kind of trade off. So we were walking around. I was serving some weed. I sold a good little bit. Ashton was serving a good amount of hay and a lot of Zans, actually, which was surprising. Everyone in there was drinking. And that's the cardinal rule. You don't drink on Zans. Everyone there was drinking and buying the Zans anyway. So he's walking around and making a ton of money. And finally, there's this group of ladies at the party, right? A very good-looking group of girls. It's like 3 girls, right? And me and Ashton are walking by. And Ashton, of course, he walks right up to him. And he's like, you guys want some K? One of the girls is like, yeah. One of the girls is like, ready to go. So I'm like, all right, for sure. You know, let's see how this goes. Because I figured he was some attraction. And Ashton probably actually didn't get this. And he did. So we go over again. We find a little empty counter space. And we're chilling, we're talking a little bit. And then, dude, we get bumped into, like, we're like, dude, it's it's ridiculous. This party is fucked. You could barely get like screaming at each other, you know, like it's like, what's your name? And that kind of thing. It's ridiculous. So we're chilling, we're doing a little K. He gives me a bump first. Unfortunately, he didn't do ladies first. He said, fuck that shit. We don't do that. So he gave me a bump, then he took a bump. Pardon me, I need to sip my soda. Holy shit. Dude, Dr. Pepper's, like, actually sick. But either way, so he gives me a bump. He takes himself a bump, and then he looks over to these girls, and he's like, "So, which one of you guys would like a bump?"
Hello
And
there.
this one
My
chick's like,
name
"Oh
is
yeah,
John
me."
McCarthy,
And I mean,
I'm
literally
pleased
the
to
most
welcome you to
stereotypical
PGA
chick you
Tour
can imagine.
2K25.
Party. Like pretty little blonde chick.
I got good
And like
vibes
a
about
black
the day. I
like
think
drug
we had
route, dude.
good
Like
things ahead.
literally,
We're
just
playing a little bit
like
of stroke play
very
today in
typical,
this
like drug
three-hole
girl at a party
matchup.
who wanted to
Get
do
it?
K probably all
All
night,
right, that
and
one
this was
ended
like a
up
heaven sent
rolling just
opportunity
barely
for
into
her,
that
you know.
second cut.
So we're chatting,
All
introducing
right, let's
ourselves,
see
and
how he does
we're having
on
a
this
good
one.
conversation, right? We're having a
This one's
good
heading to the
old
fairway, I think.
conversation, just doing our thing, and you know,
Okay,
like we
let's
only
go.
spoke, we
Pound
only got a
this
chance
one
to talk
into
to these
the
girls, maybe like 5-10 minutes. Ashley wasn't trying to sell some drugs. We were just chilling a little bit, and of course there was one girl who was like kind of the odd one out, but not really, because like we weren't like hooking up with these chicks. We were literally just like conversating. We just met these girls. We were like, oh, like where you guys from? Like, how old you guys? All that kind of shit. And just talking.
Oh,
a
we're
bit.
in a spicy
And
mood today,
talking,
aren't we?
doing this K, everything's going well, la-di-da-di-da. All of a sudden, there's like the wave, like the herd of people just starts moving. Like, clearing the fuck out. But it's so loud that like you can't hear what anybody's saying.
I don't know if this one has enough from the rough.
Word gets around to where we're at that it's cops. And we're like, oh, it's time to go. And obviously this was going to happen, right? Like,
And this is about
this shit was bound to
165
fucking
yards or
like,
so
there's
to
no
the
way it wasn't.
pin.
There was people standing out front, out back, on the sides of the house. It was loud as fuck. There was cars parked on both sides of the street, all the way down the entire block. It was literally, like, it was inevitable that the cops were going to get called to this party at one point or another. And they did. So they get called, and everyone starts moving, and we immediately just did. And these girls just kind of split off from us. Ashton's like, fuck that, dude. You got all your stuff? I'm like, yeah, I had, like, probably a zip. Not a zip. I probably had, like, 3/4 of my zip left at this point. And, like, I'm like, oh, shit, dude. We got to run. Listen, I'm not the quickest runner. I'm a chubby dude, and I always have been, all right? I'm not the fastest runner. Ashton was much faster than me. That guy was on probation from Grand Theft Auto, so I'd imagine he had to run at some point when he stole a car. So that kid had the legs, dude. That kid was definitely faster than me. But I was trying to keep up either way, and I kind of was out of adrenaline. And we run out of the house, right? We run through the backyard. And, like, the backyard is such a run.
And
We
if
don't
you
go
can
through the
sing
front.
this,
The
it's a birdie
backyard,
for you.
like, is bigger than, like,
This one's
like
going pretty hard right
the
to
length
left.
of this backyard, I don't think I could, like, exaggerate. I don't think it's possible to exaggerate. This was the biggest yard I've, like, ever seen. And it was fenced in, too. It was all fenced in. So, like, someone had already
Just a
gone
little
back
too
over the
much
fence
power.
and kicked a hole in it. Like, there was already a part where it was
He's
just
got a
smashed.
very long putt in
So
his
we
future here.
run
Let's see
through
what he
that, and
does.
there's people
This one
everywhere.
looks like it's breaking to
Everywhere.
the left.
It looked like there was, like, some sort of, like, zombie apocalypse happening where everyone was running because, like, someone's infected in the house, dude. It was fucking crazy. So we're just sprinting. And we realized pretty quickly as we're running,
like
because
he's
I
put
kind
on
of
a
catch
good
up to
line
him a little
here.
bit. He, like, waits
It's
up for
still
me
on
after
the
we get out of the
line.
yard and notice that there's not,
Oh,
like, a
and he
million
just
cops.
couldn't get it to
And
go.
we're just kind of cutting through people's yards.
Okay, now this from
But trying
11
to stay away
feet.
from everyone else.
I
Social
think this one's
distancing,
going left
if you
to right.
will. And we're like, we kind of rendezvous, and we're like, dude, where do we go? Like, what do we do? I don't think we can just go get in the car, you know? Like, I doubt the cops are, like, staking out, but at the same time, they probably are. And we have hella
Here we
drugs
go.
on us.
Car putt coming up.
There's not a chance we can
Looks like
really
this one
afford to
starts off
take.
pretty
So we
straight
go
and then
creeping
goes
around
to the
for a little
right.
bit through the neighborhood, and we're, like, lost at one point. We're trying to use our phones. But the problem is we're also trying to not be seen because we don't know where the cops are. Like, we never saw the front of the
Oh man,
house.
hopefully the
Like,
comeback isn't
we saw
too
sirens.
bad for
I'm
you.
certain there was cops,
This one's a
but we don't know
4-foot
where
putt.
they are or how many, right? Like, not a clue. No
wish I
information.
could have given you that
moving.
one.
And there's still people running.
This one
at
for
us.
double
Like,
bogey.
there's literally
Don't even worry
still
about it.
people pouring out of this house, and we're like, well away from the house.
All right, let's
It's
head
crazy
over to
how
the next hole, see what we
we're
can
actually
do.
packed in there. When everyone started flooding out, right? So we kind of swoop around the block a little bit. And we're like, oh, fuck. And we take a break. We crouch behind this backyard fence of one of the neighbors, and we do a little bit of ketamine to calm us down. And we're like, oh, shit, dude. We got to figure this out. So we're kind of walking around, and we're just
And
looking
after that, you're
around,
sitting
trying to
at
see if
2 over
we see any
par.
cop cars or if we see an angle to get to our car, because we don't even know what street we're on. Like, we kind of do, but, like, we're just disoriented at this point. Like, even maps wasn't really helping very much. So finally, I don't know what kind of luck it was, but finally we're just like cutting between houses. I just see my car between a gap in these houses. And I'm like, oh shit, there's the car. So we kind of wait. We wait a little bit until the amount of people really died down. And I only saw like 2 other kids. And there was this other group of kids, and they were doing the same thing. So they kind of like came over to me and Ashton, and they were like, yo, like, are there still cops? And we're like, that's why we're here, dude. Like, we don't know either.
Well,
and Ashton, being the fucking criminal drug dealer he is, goes, yo, you guys need some sand? And the kid actually buys one. The kid actually buys one. He's like, yeah, dude, I'll take one, actually. So Ashton serves this kid a bar. And then we go our separate ways. Me and Ashton and this other pair. And we're still waiting. Like, they decide, like, they're like, all right, well, I'm going to go this way. And we're like, all right, well, we're going to wait here and try to see if the cops go by. And we wait. I don't know. We didn't check the time, but what felt like 10, 15 minutes. It felt like longer than that. It was probably like 5 minutes. And no cars even went by, really. Like, there was the flood of cars that had whipped out of the neighborhood had kind of gone. So we were like, all right, let's just go for it and lay low, you know? So what we did was we went and got the car. Before I even turned the car on, we were super stealthy.
A little bit to the right on the approach here.
We looked around. Like,
well, unfortunate. That's going to get counted as a missed green.
We were fucked up, you know? Like, I'm pretty sure a trained cop, even an untrained cop, just like an intern at the station, would have seen us with a sober eye. But our intoxicated minds thought we were just brilliant. So we're like pinned to the side of the houses, like opposite of each other, and we're like looking like, oh, is your side clear? Yeah, my side's clear. Okay. So we go to the car, right? And we hop in the car. And we immediately stash our shit in like the most hidden spot we can reach under the seat. Because my car, at the time, I was driving my mom's Honda CRV. Right, so it wasn't like the greatest car. So, you know, I mean, it just did, like, it had, there's nowhere to hide shit. It's an open trunk car, like, it's like a hatchback style SUV, where, like, you know, you can access the trunk from, well, wait, all SUVs are like that. I don't know why I said hatchback. That's just SUV. I'm stoned, dude, whatever. But either way, it's just like, there's nowhere to really hide anything in this car, you know what I'm saying? So we just stash our drugs under the seat as best we can, and we drive out of the neighborhood real slow.
Okay, here we go.
And
have
we
fun
take
with
a way
this
out
putt.
where we don't have to pass
This
that
one's going
house
pretty
and
hard
that
left to
street.
right.
But we did pass another cop on the way out of the neighborhood that was posted up, and we were tweaking. It was like a speed trap, but we knew he was just looking for people leaving. We were like, oh, fuck. And luckily, he didn't pull us over. And
here we
go.
got
out of there.
They've got a putt to save
posted
their
up
putt.
somewhere else. And oh my god. Holy shit, we were terrified, dude. We eventually got the fuck out of there. We didn't drive very far. We only went like down the block to McDonald's, and we got some food.
All right,
chilled
19
out.
feet to the cup.
Hours. Like, holy shit,
So it's got
dude.
a pretty hard
Like,
break
what
left
the fuck?
to
We
the
were
right.
chilling at McDonald's. And eventually we called it a night, went home, and it was a pretty fun evening. We were kind of sad that we never got to meet or see those girls ever again.
No, that one zipped right by,
one
didn't
girl
it?
was really maxing on Ashton. But either way, Ed,
This one's just a 4-foot putt.
still a cool night, and he made good money, and I made a little bit too, and I smoked some weed. Did free drugs, so I can't complain. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Drop a like if you do, or did. Pardon me. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Also, don't forget to tune in to tonight's live stream. Be sure to turn on notifications and follow me on Twitter to find out when I go live.
Okay, he needs
Peace
this
out,
to
gamers.
save his par. And there we go. And you're currently sitting at 4 over par.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a banger of a video. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about a very recent accidental shroom trip. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Drop a like if you do. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And also, make sure you head over to my Instagram at TheGBLN and follow me today. Listen, we're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff on there. We're going to be going live at the Crackhead Olympics again very soon. So make sure you head over there and hit me with the follow. Thank you guys in advance for that. And without further ado, let's dive right into the video. So, you know, before we actually get into the story segment of this, I want to give more so a little background information here. So, recently, as of, you know, a couple days ago, actually, I was in LA for a fairly big trip. You know, I was filming a lot of podcast stuff. I went to the Secret Sesh event for those of you guys who saw me there. And, you know, every time I go out to LA, I've kind of gotten into the habit of doing shrooms while I'm out there. Everyone out there likes taking shrooms for some reason.
Nice.
Here in Illinois, not a lot of my friends do it. So, it's a habit of mine that has kind of grown lately. Most of you guys who watch my channel know me as a guy who likes taking acid a lot. But recently, things have kind of flipped, where I haven't actually tripped on acid for almost 6 months now. Meanwhile, I've been doing shrooms, I mean, I'm microdosed right now, if I'm being honest. So either way, I just wanted to give a little background information and, let you guys know that there's probably a lot more shroom content coming soon. I mean, I've been getting a little wild with it. So, without further ado, let's dive into the story. So this happened last week. Now, if I'm being totally honest, I don't really know which day of the week this happened. Because I was fucked up like every day, whether I was tripping, whether I was stoned out of my mind, I don't really know, okay? But this happened last week while I was in LA, and on this fateful day, I had some shit to do. I had a bit of a schedule ahead of me. It was just a couple days prior to the Secret Sesh event. I was kind of doing my stuff, getting prepared for the event. And, for those of you guys who didn't maybe hear about the event or see me there, it's basically a giant, weed sesh kind of event, but I also did a bit of a meetup there. So some of you guys watching this video might have bumped into me at this event, but I had a lot of prep to do. I had to get all the merch together for the event. I had, a grinder drop that we were doing for the event. So the guy who makes my grinders, you guys have probably seen those as well. Him and I are good friends, and his name is Attila. And on this fateful night, I had to go over to Attila's warehouse to sort out some stuff that I got shipped over. He was kind enough to let me get my merch shipped out for the event to his warehouse. So we decided to link up, get faded, and check out, do some inventory. So I get an Uber over to his warehouse from my Airbnb, and it's maybe, it's like a 45-minute Uber. It's a bit of a mission, honestly. He is not quite in LA. He's a bit on the outskirts. So it's a decent little ride, and with LA traffic, it makes it terrible every time. But I eventually make it over to his warehouse. And once I get there, we're chilling out, and he suggests that we get a little bit of shrooms. Now, I didn't know anybody out there who could serve me some, but he told me he's got me covered. He was telling me about how he met a delivery driver for a nearby dispensary, and they kind of hit it off, and the guy told him that he would serve him shrooms. He had never met this guy before, and I obviously had never met the guy either, so I told him, I was like, yo, tell him to pull up with some shit. Let's get it. So he had these chocolate bars, and he pulled up maybe 30 minutes after I got there. I was very quick. We hadn't even done inventory yet. We were just like, fuck it, let's take some shrooms first, and then go do the work part. So we're sitting in his warehouse taking some dabs, waiting for a shroom guy to pull up. And eventually, dude pulls up. He skirts on up in his little pickup truck, and, it's him and his girlfriend or whoever he was riding with. And we grab ourselves, initially, we grabbed an ounce of some penis envy. No chocolates yet, just like straight up, just an ounce of shrooms. But he had given us these samples of these chocolate bars that he made. So we brought him inside, and, once we had kind of gotten settled a little bit, I mentioned to Attila, I was like, hey, ask him how much he charges for the chocolate, because, now that I've seen the guy's legit, I would like some to maybe bring home, and he's like, sure, no problem, I got you. Birdie. So he hits the guy up, the guy hits us back, and he says that the chocolates are going to cost $40. So I'm like, yo, I'll get 3 chocolate bars. Right, that's enough for me to have for the week, enough for me to bring home, maybe have a bar at home as well.
Okay, the
perfect,
drops,
$120 bang.
That's it
I'm having a hoop, okay? It's all coming together. So I tell Attila to hit up a shroom guy and tell him to come back with some chocolates, which he does. Maybe 45 minutes go by, and he pulls back up again. Mind you, we hadn't done any fucking work yet. We had not done any inventorying. We did not do any prep whatsoever, and there was a fair bit to be done. It's not like some shit where we can just put it aside. Like, we had boxes to sort through, and organize stuff, and then repackage it. It was a bit of a headache, but either way, we're sitting there, and we're waiting for a shroom guy to pull back up, and eventually, he does. He brings me the 3 chocolate bars, but he also brings this, crazy sample goodie bag. I don't know what it is, but shroom plugs are very nice, okay? I've only met a few of them because when I was younger, I never really did shrooms like that, But every time I go out to LA, whenever I end up having to pick up some shrooms, it just seems like they're always the nicest people. This guy pulls up, and oh my god, he has a gift bag. I'm not talking like, a little sample. Dude, this guy gave us a little sample of everything he makes, dude. He has these, THC juices. He gave us 2 bags of them, one for each of us. He gave us samples of, some cupcakes, some cookies. just loaded the fuck up. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, dude, this guy, I mean, we're going to become really tight if he keeps coming through like this, you know? So I am very satisfied. I'm like, yo, this is wonderful. I'd love to see this. Thank you, my guy. And, you know, the most important part of that delivery was the chocolate bar. So we get back inside the warehouse and we're chilling out and we take a little bit of the chocolate bars. We took like maybe a piece just to try how they tasted. And they were really, really good. But we opted not to take much more that night. This night was more of a microdose kind of evening. We each ate maybe 2 cubes off the chocolate bars. I didn't accidentally trip until the following day. You see, after we, got done with our work, I got my Uber and I took my chocolates and I went back to my Airbnb. And the next day was a very big day. I mean, we had a dinner planned with like fucking 10 of us there, you know? It was maybe a day or two before the event, still before the event, but we're planning stuff out together. And I'm going to this dinner later in the day, and it's got hella people. Eric's going, Eric Kahn, as you guys know him. Attila's going to be there. Of course, I'm going. We've got the Pine Park homies going. We got the Turf Mansion guys going. So it's going to be a very fun evening. And granted, don't think of this like some, business dinner. We're all just getting faded and going to grab a bite to eat. But at the same time, it's like I'm going out. I wanted to be functional. But also, I wanted to get a little microdose in. I had felt that, the dosage I'd taken the day before might have been a little too light, I didn't really feel that much. So I decided to up the ante. It was maybe like 3 or 4 o'clock, and our dinner was scheduled for 8:30 that night. And I went and opened the freezer, and I was alone at the Airbnb. It was just me and Ashley, right? Just us two. I go over to the freezer, and I bust out these chocolate bars. And he had 3 different flavors of them that he gave me. One of them was like a cookies and cream, I think. One of them was just a standard chocolate. And I say I think because one I never got to try because I accidentally left these in the freezer of the Airbnb. So I hope the cleaning crew enjoyed, or whoever found them. I hope they enjoyed. But either way, I ended up pulling out like this mint chocolate chip one that looked really, really good. And these were fairly sizable bars. He had told me that it was an 1/8 inch bar. So I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, well, there's a fair amount of pieces here. These things are pretty big. So I think like 4 or 5 pieces will get me to a chilled, kind of relaxed dose. Now, this is where I made my first mistake, okay? 4 or 5 pieces of these chocolates, as I had later learned, was enough to send me to fucking Jupiter. And I'm sitting there at the Airbnb, and I had just downed these 4 or 5 pieces. Mind you, we are still like 4 hours out of dinner, maybe more closer to 3 at this point, 3-4 hours out of dinner. It's like 4 o'clock at this point. I had just downed my chocolates. I'm sitting there, and I'm watching Call of Duty change, right? I mean, it is getting eventful. Optics playing,